Welcome back to the Arbitress YouTube channel. In today's class, we are going to be learning how to make this sheer dress. Okay, it has this sheer effect on the half length, it has a puff sleeve, and it's also a tiered dress. It has like 4 layers to it. It's a very beautiful dress as we have seen, and it's very simple to make and beginner friendly. If this is something you would like to learn, kindly stay tuned till the end of this tutorial. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to start by explaining everything we want to do with this dress. Okay, it's a short dress and it's like a Caribbean, like a tiered dress, so it has many layers. So the entire length, the total length that I want from my shoulder to the full length of this dress is going to be 42 inches. Okay, and then from the 42 inches, the half length from the shoulder to the half length is 15 inches, which means if you subtract 42 from 15, the gathers that I'm going to be having from the half length, everything has to be around 27 inches. I'm going to be having 4 layers, 1, 2, 3, 4. So what I will do is just to divide my 27 inches by 4, and that's going to give me around 6.75. so because of sewing together, I'm going to approximate that to 8 inches. So I'll cut 8 inches for each of my layers. Okay, 8 inches for each of my 4 layers. It's an off shoulder dress, so it means I'm going to start from around here, so I'll be going off by 6 inches. So the 6 inches, I'm going to deduct it from the 15 inches. Remember, this 15 inches is from the full shoulder to the half length. So if I deduct 6 inches from 15 inches, I'm going to be left with around 9 inches, which means my half length is going to be 9 inches as well. I hope you understand that. So I'm going to be using different fabric for the layers. For the half length, I'm going to be using this plain pink fabric. For the first layer as well, I'm using this plain pink fabric. For the second layer, I'm using this flower fabric. For the third layer, I'm using this stripe fabric, and then for the last layer, I'm using this black fabric. So that's how I'm going to be distributing my fabric. So because I'm using the same fabric for the half length and the first layer, I'm going to cut it together because I'm going to be smoking this dress with my smoky thread. Okay, it's an elastic thread, so you can cut it separately, but because it's the same fabric, I have decided to cut mine together. So the upper part, I'm going to be using this elastic thread to smoke it. So now to cut it together, all you just need to do is to add this 9 inches for the half length to the 8 inches of the first layer. So 9 plus 8. You can also cut it separately. If you cut it separately, you just smoke this upper part and then you sew this first layer back to it, but I just want to cut mine together. So now if I add 9 inches to 8 inches, I'm going to be having around 17 inches. So I'll just add 1 inch to that and make it 18 inches, which is I'm cutting this part together from here to here is 18 inches, and I have gone ahead to cut it on my fabric. So I have 18 inches length here. Okay, so the length that I have here is 18 inches, as we can see. So now for the width, it's a smoked fabric. I'm not going to use my exact measurement, so what I'm going to do is to multiply my bust measurement. That's my fullest upper part. I'm going to multiply the bust by 1.5 inches or 2, depending on how full you want it to be. My bust is 35. If I'm multiplying by 2, that will give me 70 inches, but I'm going to use 60 inches because that's the length of my dress. Okay, and I don't want it too big as well, so I have the length of 60 inches here. So the first thing I'm going to do is to note where I'm going to stop smoking this. Remember, you cut this together with the first layer, so I'm going to mark the 9 inches. I'm going to measure the 9 inches plus 1 inch allowance, that's 10 inches. So from the upper part, I'm going to take my tape now and then mark the 10 inches so that you will know that whatever smoking or gathering you are doing should not exceed these 10 inches. So I'll make all of this into a straight line, and then I'll go ahead and start to smoke this. So to smoke it, like I said, I'm using this elastic smoky thread. Okay, so I'll just use my hand to fill my bobbin. So just like I explained, because of the elastic nature of this thread, I'm not going to drag it, so you can see I'm just going to carefully use my hand to wrap this thread around the bobbin till it's filled up. Okay, so that's what you need to do. Okay, so now, like I was explaining, this dress is not going to have a side seam, but at the same time I'm going to be fixing a sleeve, so I will need my armhole for that. Okay, so for that now I have folded my fabric into four, just like you normally fold your fabric. So you first fold into two, and then you fold again into four. So when you are folding the last one, remember this is the center back, is going to be opened. This is not a zipper allowance, it's just an half-inch allowance, just for me to sew the center back together. So I will leave the half an inch. I'm not going to fold the second fold completely. So this is my center front, and this is going to be my center back, these two, and this folded part, these two, is my center front. So now this is the upper part, and you can see the 10 inches that I marked, indicating where I need to stop applying my elastic thread. Okay, so now on this upper part, that's where you're going to create your armhole. Remember I already went up by 6 inches, my armhole is 9, so I have 9 inches here. I have 9 inches here, and on this upper part, okay, I'm just measuring around 11 inches, 10 to 11 inches. Remember it's going to be gathered back to make it firm. So okay, so I'm just leaving it around 10.5 inches, and then I'm going to make like an armhole curve there. So after making that armhole curve, I'm going to cut out this part. Okay, so this is my side, please don't get confused, this is the side. The only difference is that we did not slash it, because this is not going to be fitted. You can also slash it and then sew it back if you want, but this is how I want to do mine. So I just opened my armhole up, and this is what it's going to look like. So the next thing now is to go ahead and start to apply my elastic thread. So before I do that, on this upper part I'm going to hem it first with my normal thread. So I'll just fold it twice by like 1/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to hem it to beneath before I start applying the gathered thread. So I will hem it now and bring it back to us, so you can see my armhole for this side, and then this is my armhole for the other side, and this is the center back that is going to be opened. So I have gone ahead to hem the upper part, as you can see. Okay, so this is the front and this is the other back side. So now the next thing now is to go ahead and start to smoke this. So you just need to pass this under your machine, and then you're going to use your normal thread on the upper part. Okay, okay, so I have gone ahead to sew it. Now you can see it's just straight sewing. Like I said, I have a tutorial on how you can smoke your dress already on the channel, so if you don't know how to, so here all you just need to do is to smoke this part, this armhole. But remember they are not together, you smoke that part separately, and then when you get to this lower part you just do everything. Remember there is no side seam here, the only seam you're going to have is going to be at the center back. So this is what it looks like, and this is my armhole where I'm going to fix my sleeve to. So now you can see, because we cut our half length and the first layer together, you can see after smoking and stopping at that 9 inches, you can see the rest is just going to form my first layer. For me, I was able to do that because I'm using same fabric for both the first layer and the half length. If you are using separate fabric, you may need to cut it and then sew it back, but this is very easy. So that was why I first. So now the half length and the first layer is taken care of. So now we have 2, 3 and 4th layer, and I've showed us the fabric that I'm going to be working with. So now for this, the hem of my first layer, okay, this part that is not gathered, the hem is 60 inches. Okay, so now to cut this second layer, you can make, remember we already know the length is 8 inches. So the width, you can multiply it by 2 by 1.5. You can multiply it by this base. Remember this number 2 will be sewn to the base of number 1. So you are going to be working with the base of number 1 for your calculation, and the base of number 1 is 60 inches. So you can multiply this 60 inches by 2, sorry, or 1.5. So I'm multiplying mine by 2, and that's going to give me 120 inches. So for this layer 2, I'll cut a fabric of 120 inches long and 8 inches width. So for layer 3, we are now going to be working with the hem of layer 2, because we are sewing layer 3 to layer 2. So now I have 120 inches here. I don't have so much fabric for this, so instead of multiplying by 2, I'm just going to multiply by 1.5. okay, and whatever it is that I have there, that's what I'm going to use. So I'm assuming 120 multiplied by 1.5 is going to give me around 180 inches. Okay, so now to cut the last layer, which is layer 4, I'll be working with this 180 inches of layer 3 because I'm sewing layer 4 to layer 3. You can cut the same thing, okay, you can cut the same 180 and just sew it. You are not going to gather anything to it. Or you can just add few inches to this 180. You can just cut around 200 inches, and then you, because I don't want this to be too bulky, so here I'm just going to cut 200 inches, and then I'm going to sew it to my layer 3. So now I have gone ahead to sew them together, and I'll show us what I have done now. So this is my layer 2. Okay, this flyer fabric is my layer 2, which is this, and I cut 120 inches. You can see I had to join together because my fabric was not that long. So now for this layer 3, I cut 180 inches, and I sew it to the 120 inches. You can see that I was still able to gather it a little bit. Okay, but for layer 4, like I said, I just added 20 inches. You can see that I did not gather this part so much. Okay, I just added few pleats because it was not so, my fabric was not so much. So now this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to gather this layer 2. Okay, so I'm going to gather this layer 2 to my first layer, which is part of my half length. So now I'll just go ahead now and gather all of this layer 2. I'll gather it to this part now. So after gathering it to this part, the next thing is to cut my sleeve. So I'll go and gather this and bring it back to show us what we have. Okay, so I have gathered it round now, and you can see, so this is our half length, the first layer, second, third and fourth layer. You see it's better when we place it on the mannequin. So the last thing to do now is to work on our sleeve. It's an off shoulder puff sleeve. So the length that I'm working with is around 11 inches, including 10.5 inches including allowance. Okay, it's a short sleeve, and then the width, this is on fold, so I have 15 inches here, so you can make it as big as you want. So now to cut this, the armhole, what I'm going to do is just to fold my main bodice like this, and then I'm going to place the armhole area on the end here, where I'm going to join it together. So after placing it, I'll just take my scissors and then trace out exactly what I have. Okay, so it is that simple. Okay, so this is going to be my armhole. So the next thing I'm going to do now is to create channels on both sides. So here on the upper part, I'm just going to create casing for my elastic, and do the same thing on the lower part, and then you join the sleeve together on the underarm area and sew to your bodice. Okay, so we have sewn the sleeve to the main bodice, and you can see what it looks like. I applied elastic on the upper part and the lower part just to gather it back to my actual size, and this is what we have. So you can see where I sew it, this does not have any seam on the side. So these are the layers that we attached. That's the black, the first, second, third and fourth layer, and this is the part we gathered. You can see what the full view of the dress look like. So this is it on the side. You can see that there is no side seam. The only seam we have here is just at the back, just like we have seen here. So I hope you enjoyed making this beautiful tutorial with me. If you enjoyed it, let us know in the comment section. Like, comment and subscribe to our channel, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.